Okay, just a disclaimer. This is what I did. This is my experience. To give you some ideas, whatever you decide to do, you are completely responsible for. I give you warnings to try to prevent some of the issues that I had. Hi, my name is Joe, and this is my bird Pretty. A while ago, I let her fly around all the time, and somehow she got this wound on her chest. I'm not exactly sure how she got it, and like a few months went by and it wasn't healing. She kept picking at it. She wouldn't stop. So I took her to the vet. They gave her some medicine that was supposed to make her stop picking at it, and it wasn't working. So I was freaking out and I had to figure out a way to get her to stop picking at it. Now, online, they have these things that you can buy. They're like rings, but they say that, they're not guaranteed to work. The bird will just take them off, and I didn't want to spend the money on that. So instead, I went to a craft store and I bought this cloth. I looked for a nice thin cloth so that it wouldn't make her sweat or be too hot. That's her in the background while I'm recording the audio. Um, over the course of the week and a half, I probably cut, like 15 or 20 of these things out of the cloth. The cloth was only $2, but I had to keep replacing it because she'd stretch out the X, and I had to make a new one. Plus, I put multiple ones on. So, what I did was I cut out a square. Looks like this. And then what you want to do is cut the edges so that it's a nice ring. Because if it's too big, it could get caught on things. If it's too big, when she flies and lands, her feet will get caught on the cloth. So I cut it and made it round. And once I did that, she didn't have any problems anymore. It's long enough that it could block her chest where she was picking, but it's not too long to hinder her movement. So you can either cut a circle or you can fold the cloth in half, and then cut it twice to make your circle. It turns out a little bit better of a circle if you fold it in half and then cut the edges. So you know how big your bird is. So you want to make a circle it's the right size for your bird, obviously. Now once you got the circle cut, you can fold it in half again. And this time what you're going to do is you're going to cut like a little X in the middle that's big enough to poke her head through. The reason that I do an X is because the little triangles from where I'm cutting sort of make sure that it doesn't come off. You'll see when I put it on. So yeah, you poke her head through the hole. Make sure that the hole is big enough for her head to go through, but not too big that it's gonna fall off. Because while she's wearing it, over time she'll pull at it. It'll stretch out the X, and then it'll eventually just start falling off. There's a couple other problems I'm going to tell you about after the video that you have to be very careful for. Now, you'll notice that when I'm holding her, my hands are loose so that she can move, but she can't move too much. You don't want to hurt her. You have to be very careful because birds are very fragile. So you pull it from underneath around the beak, you poke her head through it and pull it down a little bit. So now it's around her neck like that. You adjust it so that it looks kind of funny, but okay, so a couple things might happen that you have to be very, very careful about. The first one's not too big of a deal. What she did at the beginning was she would somehow pull the mask over the top of her beak, so it would still be on her head, but her beak would be under it. So you gotta, of course, she can still pick at her wound if that's happening. It's not going to do any damage to her, but she'll still be able to pick at the wound. That's why sometimes I would cut 2 or 3 of those, and I would put them on top of each other, and then she wouldn't if she pulled one over her face, the other one would still be protecting her chest, and that worked pretty well. The second problem is that at the very end, she started pulling one over so that it was in her mouth, and then she was stuck with the cloth in her mouth, and she tried to get it off, and she would shake her head, and that made like a paper cut on her beak, which, I mean, it healed completely, but still, I did notice she was doing that at first, so keep a close eye on how the bird is reacting to the cloth. And if it's just the top of her head, that's fine. But if she gets it in her beak, you have to immediately pull it out. What you do is you grab the ring from the bottom part that's, towards her body in the front, and you just very gently pull it down and back, and she'll pull her head back to resist, and that will pull it out of her mouth. And you just have to make sure that she doesn't keep it in her mouth. If you can think of a way to keep it around her neck without having the cloth edges, because that's what's doing the paper cut type thing on her beak, then that's good. She was only doing that for the last couple of days, but after a week and a half of this, she was completely healed. There's not even a scar on her chest anymore. Her feathers grew completely back over the hole that used to be there. The wound is completely healed. I can't show it to you because I don't want to pull her feathers back. It's harder. Before, when I was trying to show you, there was a hole, and I just pulled the feathers up over the hole, and that's why I could show you the wound. Now she's completely healed. Her beak healed as well, but I would say that is the biggest thing you have to watch for. Make sure that she's not pulling the cloth into her beak, because then she can do some damage to herself. If you're not going to be able to keep an eye on your bird while this is on, then you might not want to do it. If this video helped you out at all, or even if it didn't, if you could hit the like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it, because I'm going to start making videos of me going for walks, and you need like 10,000 subscribers to even start monetizing a video. So if you could help me out, that'd be great. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope everything goes well with you and your bird.